Alright, let's dive into the world of Wuthering Waves and talk about something really interesting. Congenital Resonators. These are the lucky ones who are basically born with their powers. No tragic experiments, no freak accidents, no mysterious awakenings, just straight up natural-born powerhouses. If you've ever wished you could wake up one day and have insane abilities without lifting a finger, well, these guys are living that dream. But don't be fooled. Just because they got their resonance effortlessly doesn't mean their journey is easy. In Wuthering Waves, characters are classified into different categories based on how they obtained their abilities: congenital, mutant, natural, or artificial. But today, we're focusing on the congenital class. These are the resonators who never had to fight for their power. It was simply part of them from day one. And let's be honest, that makes them pretty fascinating. So, who exactly are these resonators? How do they stack up against the rest, and what makes them stand out? Let's break it all down. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching! Alright, let's talk about Yinlin, the upcoming 5-star Congenital Resonator who's ready to zap her enemies into oblivion. She's an electro unit, and if the closed beta test CBT results are anything to go by, she's bringing some serious sparks to the battlefield. But here's the catch, she's not just about raw damage. Yinlin's real strength comes from her ability to buff the next character in your rotation while keeping your concerto energy topped up. So, if you're looking for an electro DPS to one-shot everything in sight, she might not be that unit. But if you want a character who supports your team while still frying enemies, she's got you covered. Now, let's talk about that outro skill because it's spicy. When she swaps out, she grants a 25% resonance liberation damage, deepen buff, and an extra 20% electro damage deepen buff to the next character. That's a huge damage boost, especially for teams built around electro reactions or burst-heavy playstyles. Imagine pairing her with another electro DPS or a character who thrives on resonance liberation. Yeah, the synergy potential is through the roof. Of course, since she's not out yet, we don't know exactly how she'll fit into the meta. Will she be a must-pick for electro comps? Will her energy generation be strong enough to justify her as a support? Or will she just be a niche pick for specific team setups? We'll have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure, Yinlin is shaping up to be a solid addition to Wuthering Waves, especially for players who love strategic team rotations rather than just brute-forcing everything with raw damage. So, should you pull for Yinlin? Well, if you're an Electro main or love characters that enhance your whole team, she's definitely worth considering. But if you're just looking for the biggest damage dealer in the game, you might want to wait and see how she performs post-launch. Either way, keep an eye on this electrifying new character because she might just shock us all. Aloe is hands down one of the most stylish characters in Wuthering Waves. If you love fast, fluid gameplay with a hit-and-run playstyle, this guy is for you. As the Resonator of Wind, he zips around enemies, unloading bullets with his pistols while barely giving them a chance to land a hit. His basic skill is a game changer. It creates a mist avatar that taunts enemies, including bosses. That means you can dish out damage without worrying too much about dodging every attack. Pretty cool, right? Now, his damage isn't exactly top tier, and compared to other hybrid characters, he does fall a bit short. His concerto skills make him a solid sub-DPS for an arrow-based team, especially if you have someone like Jian as your main DPS. But here's the catch. His outro skill, while strong, takes some time to activate. So if you're looking for a quick, high-impact switch-out, Alto might not be the smoothest choice. Another thing to keep in mind is his energy cost. His ultimate is powerful, but it's also expensive, meaning you have to manage your rotation properly to keep things flowing. This makes Alto a bit trickier to play, especially if you're not used to optimizing energy gain. Luckily, his sequence nodes help fix this issue, but if you're running his base version, expect a bit of a learning curve. That being said, Alto's gameplay is just plain fun. His mobility makes exploring the open world a blast, and there's something super satisfying about dashing through enemies while landing stylish shots. He may not be the strongest Resonator, but if you enjoy a dynamic, fast-paced combat style, he's absolutely worth trying out.
Alright, let's talk about Encore, one of the most unique and powerful 5-star units in Wuthering Waves. This character is an absolute beast when it comes to dishing out damage, and the best part? She doesn't just stick to one playstyle. Normally, she's a ranged fighter using her rectifier to attack enemies from a distance. But the moment she pops her ultimate, boom! She switches to a melee brawler, throwing hands like she's got something to prove. It's honestly one of the most satisfying transformations in the game, turning her into a close combat menace that just destroys anything in her path. Now, outside of her ultimate form, Encore still holds her own as a quick swap DPS. Her skill is swap cancelable, meaning you can jump in, deal a ton of burst damage, and swap out without missing a beat. Plus, she's a major energy battery for your team, regenerating both energy and concerto energy at a crazy rate. So if you're the type of player who loves keeping the momentum going and cycling through characters efficiently, Encore is an absolute game changer. But of course, she's not perfect. One big downside, she can't parry unless she's in her ultimate form, which can be a bit of a headache when dealing with aggressive enemies. As a ranged fighter, dodging attacks can get tricky, especially in chaotic fights. On top of that, her normal damage output outside of her ultimate isn't anything to write home about, so keeping her on the field for too long isn't always the best idea. She shines when you use her strategically, not when you force her into a main DPS role for extended periods. That being said, if you're looking to dominate content like Tower of Adversity, Encore is a must-have. She brings incredible value to any team, whether you're using her for quick swaps or going all in with her melee transformation. Mastering her playstyle takes a bit of effort, but once you do, you're in for some of the most satisfying combat moments Wuthering Waves has to offer. Alright, let's talk about Verena, the absolute queen of support in Wuthering Waves. If you're looking for the best healer and buffer to carry your team through tough fights, this SSS class support has got your back. Seriously, she does it all. Healing, buffing, energy regeneration, you name it. And the best part? She makes your entire squad hit harder while keeping them alive. If you're struggling with endgame content, Verena is hands down the best ally you could ask for. Now, let's break it down. Her Resonance Liberation not only heals your team, but also performs a coordinated attack, adding extra damage to your combos. That means while you're busy unleashing chaos on enemies, Verena is right there with you, boosting your damage and patching up your wounds. But wait, there's more! Her passive skill lets her heal allies and recover concerto energy at the same time. So you're not just getting a healer, you're getting a full-on team battery that keeps everyone going non-stop. And the buffs? Oh boy, Verena takes team synergy to a whole new level. Her concerto skill straight up increases the team's damage, making sure everyone is hitting like a truck. Then, there's her outro skill, which heals the next character entering the field and increases all damage types by 15% for 30 seconds. That's a massive window to unleash some serious firepower. Whether you're setting up for a big burst rotation or just need a clutch heal, Verena makes sure your team is always at its peak. And we haven't even talked about her inherent skill yet. This is where things get crazy. If one of your party members takes fatal damage, she grants them a shield, literally saving them from death. And to top it off, she provides an additional 20% attack buff to the whole squad. Verena is basically your guardian angel, making sure you survive the roughest battles while dishing out insane buffs. If you're lucky enough to get her, just know that your team is about to reach a whole new level of power. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.